my gosh. Happy Friday, everybody. I know there's a lot of things to talk about today. Hold on, let me see. Well, I'm a bit free. I feel like I'm too free today. Supposed to go somewhere, but then it was canceled. So, I was like, okay, since I'm stuck here, let's go on live for 10 hours today. We'll see. It's okay. If it's not 10 hour, might be fewer hours. Who knows? Who knows? Let's see how long I can stay on here talking by myself, along with Matt for sure. Yes, Matt is. Yep. Let's go. Let's effing go. How do we feel about the price action today? Huh? Man, like it's such a sticky point for sure. I have no idea, how many weeks it's going to stuck like this, but hey, it's amusing to me. Okay, let me see if I could, before I go back there. How are we doing today? I don't know how many people are actually listening, but welcome to the show. Appreciate all of you coming in to just chill. I don't even know what I'm talking about, you guys. Like, I know I have some points here and there, but I feel like, man, I need some new, cadence or something. Some style of freaking, I don't know, coming out here and try to wail my hands up in there and making people listen. But I just feel like sometimes you just have to like stay quiet until people listen to you. Nah, just playing with you guys. All right, so let's talk about the price action real quick. Let me switch to the main thing here. Hopefully people see that one. Boom, done. All right. Wow, the switch is so freaking, I don't know. That was too weird, huh? Hey, what's up, Line? No, what's up? Hope you're doing well. Yeah, I haven't talked to you. I was about to call you actually. It's okay. Later, for sure. All right, so let's see. Price action stuck. Of course, at what point? I feel like it was max pain. It's pretty predictable. Pretty predictable at this moment in time. Does that mean it's going to, close at the what is it called? Close at the max pain all the time? I mean, I feel like most of the time it does happen, but it only take one time in which, you might not get your share back. You see what I mean? So again, for people who write cover call, just have to be careful if you do. But I wouldn't recommend people do that if you don't know what you're doing. Okay, so with this one, obviously, you see how egregious this is. Like again, the most of the volume is driven into the dark pool. Close to 70% of that volume go into the dark pool. Now, that is in percentage. What if we switch back to volume? So you could see that 8 million shares is doing that. Is going to the dark pool. But also, too, if you were to compare, it depends on the volume being traded, obviously. 70% is a lot. And I'm sure they're going to try to, do that many more times. in order to, I guess, eat up the premium. People betting on calls. I still have my calls. I know I'm not knocking that. Okay, people want to gamble, go ahead. But my 2 call is still intact. I have not done anything with it. It's down substantially. But I knew that it was gonna happen. So, hold on. Let me see. How long did I have for that one call? I have 3 more weeks of that calls. Wait, I think I have to look into that more. I think I bought the 18th of July, I think. So I still have 3 more weeks left. Of that call, I was planning to add more, but again, that call is getting decimated, so that's why I might have to add a little bit more. But again, I'm not betting my house over here, okay? So don't be crazy, okay? Don't be crazy. I'm here just chilling in the background. Okay, great. Carlos, okay, how are you feeling about the price action today? But yes, I appreciate that. Thank you. I know you're frustrating about like dilutions and all that stuff, right? Or Ryan Cohen's not doing enough, but I assure you, he's done so much for this company and for shareholders. So you just don't see the result yet. I know, I hope people could see the result and amazed by it. I understand why the negative news kind of get to you, but to me, again, negative news, it's really actually good for you. Because if the fundamental of the company going higher, right, but then the share price just staying flat, that's really a good opportunity to buy at that price. Remember when I told you, okay, I'm not a financial advisor, I'm just saying in general, anything in life, okay? Whether it's XRP, Bitcoin, whatever you choose to invest in, understand that there is a fundamental underlining here to move certain security or commodity up in price. Again, depends on what you're choosing, right? This type of instrument is called equity, right? If you have equity in the market, you have to understand what equity means, right? So you're buying a portion of the company, and the company has their own operational, whatever income or balance sheets that they are that are needed to keep the company alive and thrive, right? Now, as an equity holder, obviously, there's a risk involved, and so the risk is there might be dilution coming. Okay, or some sort of convertible note, corporate action in which, it affects the share at that moment in time, a news-based rally, whatever, or news-based sell-off could happen to where, perhaps certain entity wants to mislead people into doing something, right? To do something with their investment, which is selling and all that stuff, right? And typically, I think I talked about this before, you guys. Like, it's pretty simple, in my opinion, in this company anyway. Like, I'm talking specifically about this company. Because when they run out of negative thing to say about the company, what do? Typically, the only other way for them to make it sound like it's a negative sentiment or look like a negative sentiment is to bring the price down aggressively. Okay, they've done that before. You guys, each earnings, you see this, right? Good earnings, right? But then again, highlights the bad stuff over here. But the good stuff outweighs the bad stuff. Almost always. I'm telling you. Right? So earnings per share goes up by hundreds and hundreds of percentage. And again, consistently here. We're talking about 4 quarters in a row right now where we are profitable, we make money, and then you still hear people coming around and say that we're not profitable, and they keep running with that narrative. Okay, even though I doubt that they are actually looking to the balance sheets, right? And so again, because there's so many people who are willing to just run away with those type of news, right, and not really have any critical thinking of their own. It's tough to convince those type of people, right? Ugh, it's a lot. It's a lot. I know. I'm just ranting at this moment in time because I feel like it's long overdue that I become a little bit more passionate about, talking about GameStop here. But again, man, if you don't see the value near here now, I have no idea how to say it better so that people really get it into their psychology. Oftentimes, when you see this green, typically means it's much better. Okay, the red means that the earnings per share goes down. Okay, see, down as in a miss from analysts out there, I should say. Lower than the expectation of the analysts out there. So it's not really the fact that GME is not able to accomplish a certain expectation or anything like that. Now we know that this company has been mispriced for so long. You guys, the mispricing is unreal at this moment in time, and we all know that. The reason being is that they are either trapped or they don't know what else to do. They're trying to board you guys out, whether it is the long-term shareholder or the people that are just, here for a short period of time, for the little spike that, they're able to release some of those pressure that been building for so long. So what they're hoping is that, people would just not paying attention to this company whatsoever, and then just, fall off on their own. And so again, only a handful of people will be able to, I guess, benefited from, whatever's happening in the end. In the end, I still believe that, it's going to run. It's inevitable. But again, it might take a long time. I hope not too long, but hey, like I said, it's in my Roth, so I have quite a bit of time to wait for that to happen. Meantime, of course, yes. I mean, look, no fear. I have no fear in holding this company and for the longest time. And also too, like, I have no fear that if people were to sell it below my cost average, that this company will never deliver, would never go back up to my cost average ever, which is around 31 or so. 31 something. Yeah. So around 31 or so. So technically I'm down, in the red. Should I buy more? Well, the thing is, like, I have no cash right now. I had to help some people out, and some family emergency here. So, I should have been able to add a little bit more, but yeah, not this paycheck. Next paycheck, hopefully, I could add a little bit, but I'm waiting on the. Anyway, family emergency. You have to, somebody needs it. So we have to. Now, what I'm hoping is that, if it spike a little bit, I might not have to sell too much of the share in order to help. But it's a pretty substantial amount they need. So, yeah, hopefully it's going to be fine. But, yeah, I mean, yeah. If you're lucky enough to help people out, I feel the privilege, but also a bit pressured as well, because if you don't help, then you might not be able to feel good about yourself if something were to happen. Anyway, I'm being cryptic, but it's okay. Just family stuff. no, no need to listen. It's okay. All right, let me take a sip of water real quick. I'm okay though. Hello, stay happy. Report for attendant. All right, $9 billion. All right. So, yes, $9 billion in cash. Pile of cash. A mountain full of cash. However you put it, obviously that is immensely important. Now I wanted to see, like, okay, so let's just say leadership doesn't do anything with that cash, and every single person or whatever online, they are so frustrated because they don't know what Brian Cohen's gonna do. The frustration that is generated in this company has been so hold on, let me see. 1 second, you guys. Okay. Hype date. Okay, 1 second. But anyway, so the frustration on leadership, not doing anything with the cash and all that stuff. So let's say that we're helping the treasury market out. As we know, the U.S. need whoever, corporations or whatever, to buy the U.S. Treasury. Okay, and perhaps that has been the play all along by helping the U.S. Treasury out, that we have a seniority of some sort. Okay, that we're helping prop up the debt market on the bond size of things, right? And that's why we gain a little bit of favor into the political sense. Who knows? I'm just speculating, okay, for fun. And so with that, lawmakers or whatever would be most likely to, prop up the company that are trying to do business in America more. So again, business owner will be, looked after, so to speak. So, with GameStop, right? If you have shares of GameStop, I think, you do fine. Hopefully the world's not going to end tomorrow. So knock on wood, right? But I really think that the fact that we are gonna keep it in the treasury market, and again, what if we only have just 5% from that, right? So $9 billion. Let's just say we're not gonna do anything much here, for any foreseeable future. Okay, and then of course the Bitcoiners. I know I'm one of them. I get it. Well, I can't even claim that because I don't have, a meaningful enough Bitcoin to be saying that. So I'm sorry, not a Bitcoiner. But I truly think that Bitcoin is going to be the future. The pristine collateral. I think the IMF has already, kind of touted that already. So kind of putting that forward. And again, people are not going to be able to understand what is going on because, like, all these treasury companies that are coming out of the woodwork right now, trying to get as many Bitcoin as possible. And so that supply shock is going to come at some point, maybe sometime next year. Hopefully it's going to happen soon. A lot of people are expecting the Fed to raise rate or lower the rates so that it relieves that pressure. However, there's also a meltdown of the treasury market that might cause the rate to go higher because of the market, okay, the bond market here. So again, the market dynamic here, they're saying that, hey, U.S. might not be able to pay its own debt. All they have the ammunition to do at the moment is to print money to buy their own debt, which is, again, adding fuel to the fire. that might not be able to return to its original form. So what do? You print more money, and then hopefully you get enough people to buy into Bitcoin. Perfect, right? To try to stabilize, whatever the financial system is trying to do. But if they over leverage Bitcoin as well, that's also going to be the next one that might break as well. But with that, breakage of the system, the new system is ushering in. And I think, again, blockchain is going to be the forefront of that. Not yet AI. AI is going to be integrated into blockchain eventually. So that's like 10 years from now, I feel, But right now, the best place to be is, of course, in blockchain at the moment. Pretty new and exciting. Yeah. The fact that Jimmy is into Bitcoin as well and have one foot in that arena of, NFT marketplace is coming. Some sort of, building blocks of, okay, now we could build it on some other chain in which would be more fast, efficient, and also reliable, much more than Ethereum would be. So again, Ethereum will be around. I'm not saying it won't be. I just feel like Ethereum has a new competitor, which is XRP. And now the lawsuit is over. So that's going to be good. But anyways, let's go back to $9 billion cash. I know I'm going all over the place here. But the $9 billion, let's just say, we could do 5%. Just 5% of that. It would yield $450 million a year. What if we're going to use that to buy Bitcoin, right? Or if we're I guess, more brave, instead of buying U.S. Treasury bond, why not buy a bond that is backed up by Bitcoin? Just my opinion, right? And that is currently with Strife. Okay, Strife is an instrument, preferred shares from MicroStrategy that promise to pay $10 per unit. Okay, so currently it's traded at, hold on, let me see if I could find it. Okay, XRP is moving. That's good to see. Okay, so Strife right now is traded at right now it's traded at $105. Okay, so this is the preferred share. Preferred share is just an instrument that is created by MicroStrategy to pay dividends, and that's it. And it's like a dividend paying stock, but it's branches off of MSTR. Okay, and it derive its value from Bitcoin and MSTR stocks and leadership of an MSTR. Okay, so that's why it's so enticing for some institutional level type of deal here. That okay, we don't want the downside, so this is going to protect them from the downside. Okay, now this one is promising to pay $10 okay per share per year. Okay, $10 per share per year, so for 1 unit. Okay, so currently if you buy it at $105 right now, then technically you would only receive $10. So it doesn't matter how much this share is going to be. Some people are going to buy it over here, right, at various different prices. Okay, so much like how what is it? TLT is traded the same thing, right? TLT, you could sell it at that market price, but it has a dividend associated with that. So with TLT, you get around 3% or so right now, based on this price over here. So of course, if you buy it at this price or at a lower price over here, you get a higher yield from that because the pricing is low. So the same way, right? So let's say you bought it at this particular unit, okay? And then, hold on. Okay. So you bought it at that particular unit. So if you do $10 divided by 105, you would get around 9.5%. Okay. So if you buy at $100, then it would be the even 10% that we're talking about here. So again, fluctuation based on the market value of this particular preferred shares. And so again, this is an instrument that could help MSTR to accrue to buy more Bitcoin using, the proceed to this whenever they like. And again, this is just a way to get as many people, into the fold as possible. Because there is a demand for that. Okay. Not to say that, you're going to be able to enjoy, the 9.5% for long, because again, this might be, going a lot higher because people might, more and more people are going to be like, hey, if I could get 8%, 7%, 3%, and having the backing of Bitcoin holding for MSTR, enjoying the security of Bitcoin going higher in price, because in relative term, if you were to measure everything against Bitcoin, you will need less Bitcoin to get more fiat currency over time, 30 years from now, right? So again, that's why, strategy has been estimated that it's going to go about 30% per year for 20 years. Okay. That's crazy. I mean, you might think that is crazy, but we'll see, right? We'll see. It's pretty important. But anyway, so let's just say that, instead of buying treasury bond, we put into one of those, right? One of these instrument. And why do we put into this instrument? Well, number one, this has a seniority, okay? This stock here, or preferred stock, has a seniority. So if anything were to happen to MSTR, strategy, bankruptcy, or whatever, the convertible bonds holder, okay, the convertible bonds holder is above this preferred. Okay, so convertible bond got paid first, and then Stripe, sorry. So this one is a lot safer and more protected than, MSTR, the equity in of itself. However, the risk profile is very, enticing for people who wants the return, right? So the same way with, we've been buying government bond to enjoy that yield, 5%, 4%, 3%, and knowing that the U.S. government is going to back it, and knowing the U.S. government going to always printing money now. They've done it twice where they're buying their own bond back. So technically, the value that you're thinking that you're getting is getting diluted, okay? Diluted based on how many shares being printed. Now, technically, my MicroStrategy can also print, guess, print more units of this share whenever it goes up to $200 a share, right? They could print maybe 10,000 more units or whatever, or 10 million, whatever money that they're able to generate. Of course, they're looking to try to generate around $21 billion. Okay, so this is going to be the one that will get them there. Now, again, they have other instrument to dilute. They don't typically want to dilute anything that is of value until it's egregiously, like, what if it's going to trade at 1,000 per share? At that point, right, you would only get $10 per unit. So for every $1,000 that you buy at that point, you're only going to get what? Very low. Okay. Hold on, let me see how much is that. It's like 1% or something crazy. Yeah, you're only gonna get 1% out of it per year. Now, again, with people stampeding into something, right? They typically will be like, oh, well, you know what? I could make 1%. However, because the preferred share trades like crazy, it went from 100, okay, from 100 to now $1,000. So the preferred share itself, you could sell it to somebody else who was trying to chase that yield, and the same way on the other downside too. So the lower this a particular price is, so let's say $10. So if you buy this unit at $10, you could still get paid $10. So technically 100%. So so you get 100% of your money per year versus 1% over here, up here, right? And then this one is 10%. Okay, so as Bitcoin price comes down, people would speculate, it's like, oh, MSTR are not going to be able to pay this. And so they would speculate. They would be like, what, I'm going to just sell it right now. So just much like equity being traded back and forth among people who speculate among, institutions or whatever, they will be more and more attracted to, the lower it gets. Yes, why would MSTR do this? Well, again, sometimes you have, a bear market and people would be overly pessimistic about something. And so they would just, fuel that selling option or selling order in order to avoid any kind of loss. Now, typically also too, you have people who are, who've been buying at lower price and they want to take some profit. So that could also be, the dynamic as well. But again, typically they want these type of stock because it pays dividend. Okay. So if Brian Cohen were to spend, let's say, $5 billion on this, right? The $5 billion would be locked on this particular equity. Okay. And, that $5 billion could grow into whatever as people chasing these type of yields. Currently, like I said, if you buy it at this particular price, you will get 9.5%. Okay. 9.5% on this capital right here. So that will give us $450 million per year if we're just doing the math there. 450 immensely helpful. Okay. for the and again, that's just $5 billion here. What if we're gonna do the whole $9 billion? So we're gonna get even more. And not only that, we get MSTR, to back our, holding as well right there. But again, I don't know how, the regulations on that, whether we are able to buy those type of thing, those type of instrument in order to create shareholder equity. I don't see why not, because they already are, set up to be a holding company already. And so I don't see the problem in that. Okay. So in my opinion, it's pretty low risk in terms of, the yield in which you get from this. So and also too, the downside would be protected due to this yield right here. So technically, let's say if MS Strive falls down here in a year for whatever reason, you're technically breaking even based on the principal there. But so long as you're just holding that to the next year, Bitcoin might, it's going to do this, one of these things where it's volatile and people are going to bet up and bet down and all that stuff. So yes, it's going to swing wildly. However, you're going to get that consistent $450 million on $5 billion on this one. And then the 4 other billion, you could use it, just stay in cash if you want to, for any other corporate, need to buy into any other companies out there. So $4 billion is pretty substantial. And again, I don't know what leadership is trying to do, but just me speculating here. You guys, of course, I'm sure Ryan Cohen knows how to return this capital much more than me, and it's gonna, make sure that the principle would be at least protected. Can card being valued like short-term investment cards? Not quite sure. That's a good question though, but not quite sure. You mean like baseball cards and all that stuff, collectibles? I believe inventory cards are appreciated with the time as short time investment. You mean short-term investment? Yes. I mean, whatever they have in the vault will increase in value. Not quite sure how they, accounted for that inventory, because again, you could also kind of speculate that the minute that they got that card, it's going to be X out of the vault, because there's a lot of demands out there, right? So in and out as quickly as it comes. So that appreciation, unless they hold it for a long time, at least 3 months, right? It's not being sold. It could be, accounted for as something more. I don't know. But I think that's going to lead into the profit margin, gross profit margin, maybe. Because again, we're not going to sell it at a loss for sure, I don't think. But anyway, so just my speculation. I mean, with Bitcoin becoming more and more mainstream, and a lot of people are talking about it. And again, I'm not saying just because people are talking about it, it has some, it has some merit in that at all. I would implore people to, at least learn about the network and all that stuff before telling other people that it is a scam. That's one of my pet peeves, and again, I think mainstream media, in terms of financial medias, they were so quick to call Bitcoin a scam. And I really think because they were missing out on it. By the time they're able to get their hands on it, it's probably well above any amount that it makes too many retail rich off of this. So of course they don't like that. They want to be the one that are there earlier than you, and they want to be the one who sell it to you at whatever price, 10x, 50x than when they bought it. Okay, so of course, they've been steering people away from Bitcoin for a while until they're ready to pump it to the public. And there's actually a, hold on, actually let me just show this one real quick before I talk about Bitcoin, because it might be a while. I know, you know. Wild speculation here. Okay, so let's talk about the short interest. Of course, we know that it's been up, but yeah, 19%. It used to be what, 11, 12, right? So now it's going up again. Of course, people are gonna say that this is pretty low compared to what it was before. BS, right? But even then, let's just say take it at its face value. Okay, this is what it is. 20% is a lot. 20% of the float is a lot. Especially, you know, this float is going to be locked in. Let me see. I mean, think about this, okay? What if they're telling you that it's gonna take them 8 days to cover? Really, when you're like, you know, when you have to do stuff like this in order to, you know, keep the price down as low as possible. And so, yeah, they're gonna have to do this over and over and over again. So long as, you know, people are still holding on to the share and, you know, not going to give them any inch, okay, on, you know, how many shares that they've been selling, not yet purchased, and all that stuff. Could it be mingling in all this stuff? I think so. With the call option as well, the chain, much more. You see that? That's a lot. Okay, of premiums being collected this week, and of course, look at the skewed, right? Any other security would have been so more evenly distributed. And so when you see stuff like this, there's a high chance of gamma ram. But gamma ram hasn't happened. Have you ever wondered why? Well, because market maker has the ability to drive the volume at will. Okay? So if they want the price to go higher, and believe me, they probably want to, but they're gonna do it at a control squeeze type of thing. And in the meantime, of course, Ryan Cohen's gonna take advantage of that. Maybe perhaps his reason why they don't want to send it up quite yet is because they are afraid that Ryan Cohen will do another offering, and it's gonna give the company like $60 a share. $60 a share. You know, have what, $4 billion with the same price, the same amount of shares being sold. And then in the meantime, you know, you have retail just keep buying. Like, of course. You know, the more they let people, you know, accumulate at this low price, $24, come on, you guys. This is like 90, what is it called? Somebody posted 92% equity. Be crazy. Hold on one second, you guys. I believe, okay, yeah. Okay, right here. So 92% equity at the moment, of course, like based on the price right now. So again, so technically, every single share that you buy, okay, you only paid 8%, 8% of that for the company, because every single share is backed up by 92% cash or cash equivalent. Okay, including Bitcoin as well. So again, like even if it goes down from here half, in which case the valuation would be so much crazier. Okay, so any lower from here, best deal of a lifetime. Like it never have been so good to buy into GameStop than it is now, because if you look at share equity, okay, hold on. So from here to here, okay. So if you bought share before the drop over here, okay, $28 or $29, then it would be equivalent to it is today, the same equity level, right? Share to equity back then was less than share to equity back here. So what they're saying now is that this is 92 at this price, and this perhaps is going to be, I think, around 80%, right? Or even lower. I want to say 60%. I didn't do the math, but if I did, would probably be around 80% up here. I mean 60%, sorry. So yeah, much better deal than here. Now, with this particular junction too, it is a lot less riskier too. Okay, a lot lower risk when it comes to bankruptcy. Okay, over here, the risk was higher. Not to say that went bankrupt, because they did have cash, but again, 1.3 billion dollars in cash back then. Now over here you have $9 billion, $9.1 billion. So again, guys, like if you don't see the value that leadership has been driven to this stock already, but then this past 5 quarters, I don't know how people could tell you that leadership doesn't do shit. Okay, leadership doesn't care about shareholder. Well, he cares about a certain shareholder for sure, right? He cares about long-term shareholder. How about that? He doesn't care about you buying call option. No. Yes. I mean, if you're just buying call option hoping to make $1 billion, then good luck, because what he's trying to do is drive shareholder equity higher over time, right? Through whatever mean possible. Yes, including selling the share at the ATM price. Yes, including issuing convertible notes that is going to be 0%, and that is going to be convertible 7 years from now, 5 years from now. I think that's a good deal. I don't know, if you're frustrated because, your call option is decimated, of course, there you go. Of course, people would be so frustrated. And typically, this is what Wall Street are frustrated about as well, perhaps. They've been probably losing on call option too. You think they're not losing on call option? Of course they do. I'm sure they're losing so much money in GameStop, just trying to shake retail out as much as they can. But again, they'll have their scheme, they'll have their tool in order to, do what they need to do. But eventually they're going to switch along. They're going to have to. And so in which case they're going to promote it to you. Oh, GME is actually a good company over here at $8,000 a share. At $8,000 a share, you could do this and this and this. 8,000. Right? Why 8,000? Well, because again, Tesla, right? Right now they're promoting Tesla and all that stuff, and the reason why they're not as negative on Tesla is because they were forced to buy Tesla at $8,000 a share. Okay, and so again, I'm not saying Tesla doesn't have any, growth or anything. Yes, they can, but the growth might be not exceeding the valuation that people are placing on it. Okay. Current time, obviously, as time goes on, hopefully we have a good technological advantage that will, give people the ability to produce more stuff on Earth. Who knows? Who knows? Or not. When is the next earnings call? I want to sell before going dilute us all. You could sell now. I mean, why wait until this earnings call? What if this time he's surprising everyone and not issuing anything? I mean, that could also be possible. If you have no conviction. I know, you guys, like, I understand the frustration. I wish I could remedied it by telling you it's okay. It's okay if they want to wait as long as they can, because if you believe in the play, right, of course you're gonna add more. Okay, but how long are they gonna be able to do that? I mean, think about this. Okay, how long were they able to keep GME at this price range? So that's like almost a year, right? Oh no, actually, more than a year. More than a year. So if you think about that, right? Say close to a year and a half, right? So then you could also think that they're gonna try to do this for another year. Keep Jimmy at this range. Okay, we're overdue. Maybe this is what Roy and Kitty is trying to tell us. Okay, 428. I mean 420. Okay, so let's try that. 420. Ooh, am I onto something? Guys, I feel like I discovered the secret. The secret of 420 days cycle. Okay, bear with me, you guys, bear with me. I'm just doing something random here. Okay, it's just random. Okay, there you go, 420, right? So let's mark that around here. Okay, so again, maybe settlement cycle or whatever. Right, from the time in which he was tweeting over here, spike, gap up like crazy. So maybe we're doing for another gap up like crazy. Okay, July 25th, another hype date. Who knows? Or July 2nd. Sorry, July 2nd. Does it have to happen that way? Who knows, you guys? I don't know. Like, I'm not again trading based on this cycle theory, but it could happen. Excuse me. Oh my goodness, that was a terrible thing that I just did. I'm so sorry. You have to listen to that. very unladylike for sure. I apologize. You know what? This would be my last video ever. So enjoy it while it lasts. Okay, so yeah. So I'm thinking, yeah, maybe next week. Hold on, let me see. July 2nd, which is Wednesday. Okay, and we'll see what happened. Maybe it's a gap down, and then boom, right? So expect that. This is like a fractal of some sort, like somebody, I think Ultimator 5 made this one, so you could find that yourself. I don't know how accurate it is, honestly. I don't trade based on this, so I don't trade at all, actually. But also too with the weekly, right? It's kind of scary. That's what this particular fractal is speculating that it might wick down to that, right? $5, $6 there. Don't think that it won't happen, you guys, right? Have some dry powder just in case it gets to that point. In which case, crazy, huh? That would scare the craziness out of people, for sure, and it will freak people out, you know, retail and the like. Even the professional out there will be freaked the F out if that were to happen. So yeah. So again, it might, you know, trend the other way because again, people expect it to go the other way. Too many people expect it to go higher like this, based on option chain, based on whatever. And so inevitably, you know, market maker would rip your heart out and then only to, you know, regain back later, like that. So make sure, you know, play your card right. But listen, if you have shares, right, why would you care about all this movement? You know what you hold best. Shares doesn't expire. You know, I know at moments in the price action, you feel so bad. I'm telling you, like, many people were just doom and gloom over here. Like, many of them, oh my gosh, it's going back to 10, it's going back to 4, it's going back to, you know, $5. And so the same way, people's gonna be so doom and gloom. Oh my gosh, how can it, right? But people who understand the value of this company, you think they're gonna sell at $5? Like, be logical here, right? I know the traders out there would come out of the woodwork saying, see, I told you so, type things like investor has been decimated because of whatever, right? News after news saying that how stupid you are to buy into GameStop at $20 a share when you could have bought it now at what, 7, whatever this price is. I'm saying 6 right now, right? I'm not saying that it's gonna go down there, but if it does, based on this fractal, don't be freaking out. It's okay. Like I said, Carlos, if you want to sell, right, sell at your own risk. But I wouldn't recommend people doing that because that would be, you know, just you're making choices based on the emotional roller coaster that the price action is trying to get you to do. Because remember, once you exit out of your position, right, you're going to have to build it back. Okay. Your hope is that you could buy it back at the lower price. But what if you can't? What if it just moves so quickly that you can't even put your order in, right? And so why would you risk, you know, all you could do is add more shares if you have dry powder. If not, just hold on to it. It's okay. However many shares you have at whatever price, hopefully it's going to be low enough for you to be okay, okay, emotionally. And again, that's why a good rule of thumb is to not ever invest money that you need for the emergency for whatever reason. Because if you do, then you'll be forced to sell at a loss. Not only that you lose the money, you lose the opportunity to ride it back up. Because now you're out of the game. Okay? No more shares to participate in the upside at all. That's what they want you to do. But would you do it? Would you be dumb enough to do it? Okay, it's up to you. Your money, your investment, your conviction, right? You might be able to find something else that is more conducive to your risk and reward profile, right? So yeah, you guys, like, you're gonna be fine. Okay, you're gonna be fine. My cost average is 26. I'm not giving Cohen $2 again. Okay. $2 gain. Okay, cool. That's funny. I hope you're joking. You're joking. But yeah, I mean, $2. Why would you give Cohen's? Like, of course, like, okay, if you hold the stock, right, at 26 cost average, he just increased your shareholder equity to the tune of $15 a share. Because before the convertible notes, when you bought it, right, it was still at 26, I assume. Back then, you were buying at a higher equity, at a lower equity, price to equity, at a lower price to equity. Now, because he does the convertible notes, okay, your equity goes higher. So instead of having just $11 built into the equity for that shares, now you have, now you have more than $20 a share. Right? So 8%. What is it now? You know what? I need to take a break real quick. I will come back. Before that though, let me play this. Has to do with Bitcoin, I know. I'll come back, I'll revisit GameStop. I have to go in a minute, so it might be 5 minutes.
And to your point, I'm generally quite bullish. But the point that I made to everybody who sort of brought it up at any point was, what you got to understand is the entire financial system has been pushed to a point of breaking with the money printing. The money printing has all flowed into the financial markets, right? So when you look at the equity markets, you look at Apple, I don't know what they are today, maybe 35 times PE. 35 times PE, that is ridiculous pricing for a company that just is demonstrating very little growth at this point in its life. So when you look at that, you look at the valuations all across the S&P, the problem you've got as an active manager in equities is that you need to actually be allocating to companies that are fundamentally completely mispriced. And if you don't do it, you run the risk of massively underperforming the index. So what do you need? Well, you need the best performing asset on the planet. You need Bitcoin, right? You need the 65% CAGR that we talk about for the last 5 to 10 years. So companies like MicroStrategy are actually providing a bit of a release valve of these ridiculous valuations. As they attract more capital in the equity markets, they're relieving that pressure on the Apples and all the rest of the Mag 7s that are arguably completely mispriced. Plus, likely the rest of the S&P, I don't even bother looking at it these days myself. But the other that is also true of the bond markets, right? No one's being paid for the risk that they're taking to hold dollars to continue to lend money to either the US government or the corporates, right? I don't want to hold US dollars and only get paid 4.5%. I know the rate of debasement is at least 10, right? So the real rate needs to be at least 10. Well, welcome MicroStrategy and his preference shares, right? 10% coupons, happy to pay it. You know, if he's borrowing money and paying 10%, he's essentially, paying out and buying his Bitcoin at a 65% CAGR. So he's more than happy with that performance, right? And obviously the bond market love it because they finally got something that is a stable credit, actually paying the real rate in the US dollar curve. And then you come to volatility, right? If you look at the convertible bond market, convertible bond managers desperately need volatility. But volatility has been destroyed by money printing because every time the market dips, you just get the central bank print more money, stabilize the price, and volatility is just sort of drifting to nothing, right? So convertible bond managers are crying out for more volatile product. Saylor, he doesn't have any control over the volatility of his stock. It's completely defined by Bitcoin, which is this $2 trillion dinosaur tail, I call it, waving his stock around all over the place. So for him, he's happy to sell his convertible bonds at a 50 vol when they're trading at when the volatility is really 70 or 80 back when we were last talking, and he was issuing converts. So if you look at all of this, all of the managers in those various capital pools desperately need Bitcoin or Bitcoin's, implied dollar rate or Bitcoin's volatility. They don't always understand that that's what they need, but they're starting to. And this is where the Bitcoin treasury companies come in, because they're like the release valve of those overpriced markets, basically being slightly deflated by the option to move into Bitcoin. And so this is the peaceful transition of the financial markets into Bitcoin. That's what's happening. And so, yeah, of course, you're going to continue to see these companies pop up. And then you've got the whole debate about, well, Coincilium today, they're trading at, I think, at 10 times MNAV. That's the number 2 company in the UK. At 10 times MNAV at a market cap of 100 million. I like that because then they could do a 100 million raise and take themselves to a 2 times MNAV immediately. So you've got this sort of, well, we can get into that, but the metrics are very difficult to sort of understand. And so you have to, it's almost like a multifaceted diamond. You have to look at them from various different angles to understand the real value. Otherwise you might miss something and then you might say, oh, well, it's an 8 times MNAV. I don't want to be buying that. But then you miss the quality of the financial engineering or the level of aggression, for example, that Metaplanet are providing.
Yeah. So MNAV is like net asset value or something like that. So it's like a book value. It's basically what that means. In Bitcoin terms, obviously, they're just, I guess, creating that terminology. So it's almost like, so we're trading for GameStop, right? We're trading at 2 times MNAV or whatever, net asset value. So our net asset value right now is the cash that we have, and plus, equipment and all that stuff too. Well, based on this one, we could see it right here, right? Net asset value right here. So total asset. So MNAV would be, well, according to this, of course, we know that now we have $2.6 billion, including in that, the convertible notes. So technically, as a follower of GameStop earnings report, we all know that they've been, increasing that net asset value. So technically, this would be around $10 billion or so, just asset alone. Again, it includes the property and includes, whatever, tax assessment. It includes long-term assets, long-term asset. So everything. So at that junction, we would be able to add $2.6 billion, right? Because that's what we were able to accumulate, or 2.7 actually, 2.7, close to that. I know there's some fees involved, so that's why I do 2.6, right? Just again to underestimate, the convertible notes issuance. So again, with that, we have asset of $10 billion. So currently, if you look at the market cap, we are trading at 1 MNAV. Okay, so that's just a lingo there. Now, of course, with Bitcoin, right, because it's been so volatile, just like the gentleman was saying, it's actually a way for retail to, get that gain, that growth, that asset rushing in, or at least people just stampeding to buy into the asset in which people, again, like the commodity, hot commodity over here, okay? And so that's why the opportunity is now to strike when the iron is hot. Michael Saylor has done it pretty well, and he kind of the earlier, person to, I guess, spot this early on, and really the one that kind of out there try to educate the masses. But again, it depends on who you ask, obviously. They would say Saylor is a crazy person, drunken, and not knowing what to do. He's too risky, whatever, right? Whatever attack that the media has been kind of talked about. And yes, people are going to pick it up. People who don't understand anything about Bitcoin will pick it up and spout those. The same way with Ryan Cohen, right? The way that Ryan Cohen is being demonized as a certain person that is, not knowing what to do, unable to move with the, current time, modern, whatever, right? But all of those is just a speculation in and of itself, okay? With Michael Saylor, it's a little bit predictable, okay? Because he's out there and kind of like promoting, his product, and really sit down and interview to try to, get people to understand this type of product, and understand the opportunity at hand here. Of course, yes, there's associated risk with that, and I hope that, any type of investment that you're getting yourself into, you understand all the risk involved. I mean, I wouldn't say that I know exactly what the risk involved when you invest in GameStop is, right? But, the business could go under for any amount of time. Currently, no, I don't think the bankruptcy is going to be looming anytime soon. But, the risk of the physical, I guess the fact that people don't have money to shop at the store, okay, that also another risk. Inventory becoming more expensive, harder to source, right? Those are risks too. So again, my point is that understand the risk when you invest in GameStop. Obviously, also understand the risk. The fact that market maker has a very heavy presence in this company for sure. The way that it's traded, so in turns, it's going to frustrate a lot of people, and so depends on how much patience you have in this company. I would advise you to at least look at it in a different angle too, not just in the fundamental standpoint here. Of course, that's very important for sure, because without the fundamental, right, how can they raise billions of dollars in just a couple of days here? Okay. That's again a test to the way that leadership has been able to turn this company around in that to that extent, to where institution is like, okay, yeah, I want some of that convertible I want some of that upside gain, but give me 0%, but give me the ability to convert in 7 years. But yeah, again, my speculation is that it's not just shorts that are buying those bonds. Like I explained before, there's so many institutions out there that want this type of instrument. Okay. They don't want to buy the shares for sure, because whatever view they have about GameStop is still valid for them, even though it's wrong, right? That it's risky, that it's volatile, that it's just fueled by meme people, right? And so those type of thing is still looming about this company. They will push that until the end of time. Well, you already see Hannah Reloaded, saying that we don't make any money. So those type of negative thoughts is going to stay there until the end of time, and it's very effective for people too. I'm telling you. So it might take a long time for people to realize what GME leadership has been doing, and so it might have to be like in your face so much more. Of course, the frustration is being touted now. A new frustration out there that was saying that leadership has missed the opportunity to become the second most Bitcoin holder in the world. Second second in line to hold Bitcoin, by just go all in on Bitcoin right now at $9 billion. The race is on for sure to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible. But any amount of Bitcoin will be sufficient, in my opinion. Again, if Bitcoin were to go to $100 million at some point in time, which is 100x from here, so long as we hold onto those Bitcoin, and adding more as time goes on. Like I said, even if we just use the interest payment by sitting on cash, even just, again, to $5 billion in Strife, right? So that way that capital can be at least locked in to a 9% a year. And that 5 billion will also grow as that Strife goes higher in value. Guys, it's so many things that leadership could do. But again, they don't have to even play the Bitcoin, volatility either. But again, if you want to keep these people, the shorters, right, people who are shorting this thing, guessing every time, you don't necessarily want to follow the playbook of somebody who's been there already. So you want to do something else different. Again, just for that surprise element. But I think with Bitcoin, right, it's pretty tough to short Bitcoin without getting wrecked either. Okay, unless you know the cycle, unless you know that that somehow it's going to work that day, and then you have to close your position anyway. So shorters has a very small window to attack. And so it's tough when you have an asset class that cannot be shorted, that cannot be created to short into oblivion, because you cannot make more Bitcoin. So the more people wants it, the higher the demand and the higher the price. Look what AMC Investment did to Moran's. He will not let anyone talk about AMC on his channel, or he will kick you out. That long, tiresome investment got him frustrated for sure. Hey, I think he just protecting his viewer, you know. AMC, of course, guys, AMC, we know it's like, look at this. How long was the squeeze? It's been 4 or 5 years, right? They're still net negative. After all of that destruction of, shareholder equity, you still cannot come in positive. So I don't know. I agree with Moran's, for sure. This is a scam. How are they not allowed to be traded on the public, traded company? That's beyond me. So you have a free cash flow of negative, right? Since then. This is annual. This is, yeah. Ooh, you guys, I don't know why people are still talking about Jimmy. AMC, sorry. Crazy. You look at this. Okay, here's what kills them. It's not the fact that, okay, guys, this is why debt is detrimental to your investment. And this is what Wall Street wants you to do. They want you to go over leveraging your asset in order to eventually get into debt so that they could extract, the value from your company. Okay, that's why, again, your company, meaning the people that own this equity before, it was in the S&P 500 and they just cut, right? In terms of expenses, okay? So the detrimental of this company is the fact that they don't even make enough to cover its interest payment. And this is just interest, you guys. So they have to make well above this just to break even. Okay? Now, see, look, gross profit, expenses. Gross profit and expenses. Negative. I mean, you could say that they're improving, great. But how many more years do you think they're going to be able to catch up to what Gamestop is doing right now? Yeah, you guys, I don't know. Like, how many more people still see, right? Asset write down. Okay. Excuse me. Net income still consistently losing around $400 million a year. Okay? And guess what? They only have this much. So this year, they're going to have to issue more shares. So, how? And I bet you anything that amount of money that they, let's say they're able to, raise $2 billion more. You know what Ryan Cohen, what Adam Aron's gonna do? He's gonna spend it. He's gonna spend it as soon as he gets it. Buying another movie theater or whatever. Adding more, new projectors and just spend. So, and again, so see, asset, liability versus asset. Not much there. And then you have negative shareholder equity. So, which means if they file for bankruptcy right now, common shareholder will not get anything. Yeah. So that's the risk. Now, you could pray for a miraculous, recovery in shares price, but guess what? The company would have to issue shares. So dilute. And so how can they run? How can it run to whatever price that people are expecting it to be? So that is the dilemma. But again, they might try to mimic the movement of GameStop, just so that they could say AMC is the same as GME. It's not. Night and day, okay? Night and day. So we have close to $5 billion shareholder equity versus negative shareholder equity. Yeah, so again, that's why Carlos, that's why he doesn't want anyone to talk about AMC. Because it's a waste of time for sure. You might make money on the run or whatever, but that doesn't mean that the company is going to do well. But yeah, a lot of people lose a lot of money in that company, you guys. So I wish the best for them, but for me, I'm not touching it. Not touching it at all. All right, so let's talk about some other things. So anyway, so these gentlemen are talking about like the Bitcoin treasuries and all that stuff, and the main takeaway is the part that I play there is kind of along the line of what Moran's was saying too, is that the markets right now, it's overpriced. Okay, so typically equity is pricing based on the future earnings. Okay, future earnings of the company. So every single company right now, if you were to look, even Apple's, right? He was kind of bring the example of Apple's, where it is trading at 30 times earnings. Okay, even though it means that it takes you 30 years. Okay, 30 years to get your money back. Okay, again, that's just the term there. Doesn't mean that you have to hold for 30 years, but if nothing changed about the company, about the share price and all that stuff, it will take you 30 years until the company's balance sheets would be able, or the business itself would be able to generate enough cash to get you to that valuation. Okay, 30 years. Okay, that's how overpriced these companies are. Now, GameStop is pricing at a current. You know why it's current? Why would I say that? Because just like we said, the asset in which Jimmy is traded at. Okay, you said 50. So, Wait. Excuse me. So this one is 50 times earnings. However, again, we're trying to find our equilibrium here because we're just coming out of, a terrible year. So see, we used to not make anything at all, close to nothing, right? But also we used to, have quite a bit of challenge there. But right now we're just, again, slowly, adding to our pile of cash over here. So again, the scale is this, like the compounded interest that we're able to snowball into. Just like I said, if they were to make some of the investment into Stripe, right? This would turn into $900 million if they were to, instead of buying the whole Bitcoin, right? Let's have some downside protection, volatility, and have MSDR MicroStrategy, earn that yield for us, which is 9%. And I think that would work very well, honestly. And again, on top of that, we don't have to take the risk on, Bitcoin going down 40% or anything like that. Okay, so with that though, again, so from 200 to now $400 to $500 million based on the cash value. But yeah, currently, again, this EPS will be fixed soon. So instead of 30, it might be just 10, 15, and then it's going to improve from there. Remember, it used to be 400. Okay. So now we're down to 50, sorry. And then the next one, we want to kind of, lower it to maybe 10 times that. So hopefully we're going to be able to get five times its earning. Right. So the lower, the better, for sure. And of course, too, as Bitcoin become more institutionalized, more financialized, you could borrow it, you could lend it out, you could, generate yield on Bitcoin and all that stuff. Again, people are building those instruments right now. That's why, again, they place so much value onto Bitcoin at the moment, because it's the most pristine, it's the most trustable network. And so, yeah, is it a scam? I don't know. Learn about it. You might think otherwise, might think differently. Okay, so my other thought is that I feel like the real estate market has been kind of overvalued.
When it comes to starting the unit,
okay. Overblown, and you can kind of see a little bit cuts here and there. Sellers has been cutting down their price. Lennar just posted their earnings, and apparently they're slashing down their home price too. So with that though, again, those liquidations and all that stuff might pour into crypto as well, because the view is that, if you priced your house against Bitcoin, you would need less Bitcoin in the future to buy a house versus fiat currency, versus the amount of money that you need to buy a house. So yeah, when you get to that realization, right? Any crypto that has a finite amount of, have a limited amount of tokens, which is XRP and all that stuff. Again, the token of XRP has, more utility associated with that. That's why, the total amount is a lot more than Bitcoin. But again, different consensus mechanism. Okay. I feel like kind of switch gear a little bit. I know I talk about Gamestop a lot, but let's switch gear to XRP. Like I mentioned in the early hour of this show, okay. XRP lawsuit has been completely solved. Okay. Sorry. Scratchy throat. Not sure how long I'm going to be able to go on like this. Well, eventually I'm going to have to eat too. So maybe half more hour. Okay. So yeah, XRP lawsuit has been gone. So that's why you probably see some, movement there. Of course, Bitcoin is back up to over $100,000 right there. So again, it's going to creep back up. Lots of demands there. Ethereum, I feel like XRP is going to take over Ethereum. I've always have that, have that thoughts. But what I've been tracking is this amount right here. So this is the total amount supply of XRP. When it was created, it was minted at 100 billion XRP token out there. And so now, because there's a protocol, hold on one second. Oh, excuse me. So there has been a protocol that is being passed that, every time there's a transaction, there's a burned, on there. So currently, the amount of burning tokens each year is not, enough to be kind of like, oh my gosh, the deflationary is going to, give a higher valuation for the token. I think this token is driven by how many people are using the network to do the bidding or no, right? So that's why, again, my speculation is with the lawsuit completely now over, people, businesses, and all that stuff could really build on top of the XRP ledger. Okay. So apparently there's, NFT marketplace could be also built on this technology. I think the scary thing about getting into this type of thing is the regulation. Okay. And so that's why, again, regulation is very important. We need, I'm talking about corporation. Before they, getting into stuff like this, like GameStop, for example, if they were to build on stuff like this, they need the clarity that if they build on this, spending hundreds of millions of dollars to build something on this network, that it is not going to be touted as a security of some sort. We don't want any type of that negative press stain on the reputation of the platform that we use. Of course, stuff like that will happen. The incident about the stapling of the stapling thing, remember? Switch to, as if that's like it was a front page news, you guys. That's, GameStop would dare to staple, onto the screen and damage it like that. But again, it was just a hyper, coverage of that. It's like, oh my God, these monsters. But GameStop has has good humors, and they kind of poke fun of themselves, and again, leadership has been on top of it pretty. I mean, they're on Twitter addressing those complaints and all that stuff, whether it's a real complaint or just somebody getting paid to complain about GameStop too. So that also happens. I would say that there's a lot more happy customers out there than the terrible ones, for sure. All right, you guys. But anyway, so with this one, back to XRP, it really depends on the amount of people building on top of it and all that stuff. So I'm excited to see, within this utility base fuel rally for this token, because this token has not been able to participate in any of the run last year, you guys. And again, that's why the breakout was so violent, because when you're suppressing something that is useful, that people are, betting, there's an asymmetrical bet that you're inevitably going to, win, based on the usefulness of this particular token. What is it useful for? Well, I mean, cross-border payment, instant settlement, which is very needed in the stock market as well, because the reason why GameStop is traded the way that it is because you have market makers out there that are not, acting like a agnostic party. Okay, they're not agnostic. They're supposed to be. Meaning that, okay, if people are betting up and down, whatever direction it is, it shouldn't matter to me because you're just facilitating the trade. That's it. You make the trade happen. But what we have right now is that you have market maker who've been either selling the share short themselves and they don't know where the share's coming from. They just, again, mindlessly shorting the company out of oblivion because of a certain dogmatic thing that they have about the company going bankrupt without, any, I guess, underestimating leadership, doing everything they can to turn the company around. And again, like even that too, they're trying to underestimate retail investor altogether. They never ever imagined that retail would hold this long. I'm telling you. And they're frustrating as well. Don't think that they're not stressed out or at all. The reason why I think they're stressing out is because of this price movement that makes no sense. You guys, like, I'm telling you, this company is traded as like a penny stock when it's not. And this desperation is shown here too. Short volume. Okay? Desperation is shown here too. Shorted. Oh, did it change from 60? I thought it was 68. Now it's 60. All right, well. So see, like they don't even put out the option there yet. So I wonder what it is. What they haven't been putting out the option. So they're probably just hiding something, right? Who knows? Again, the fact that they are opening up more than 50% onto the lit exchange again. And then also, not allowing any price discovery at all. So that's the tactic that they're using right now. And so with this type of thing, right, this type of token, this type of technology, hopefully we're going to have some sort of instant settlements so that when you buy into something, any instrument at all, into GameStop, you'll be sure that GameStop share is a real share. And that if you don't allow people who have the custody of that particular shares that you have to lend it out, they won't be able to lend it out. So that's the technology that we're trying to get into here. So that, they know who owns what and who is liable. Okay. And for people who are liable, they should be paid. I mean, they should pay the price for being stupid enough to short something, right? Currently, we just haven't punished the right people, yet. And so, that's why active managers, they rub shoulder together and then, they have their own bags or, they have each other backs until it's too late for them to even correct the course. And so they would run to the government or the Fed to bail them out. Yeah, it's scary for sure, right? For people who are over leveraged to the tilt, they don't have the understanding that this type of technology will wipe them out for sure. But yeah, that's going to be a slow transition. The transition of wealth type of thing it's more to the digital side. Everything's going to be digital, of course, right? So, digital ownership is coming with the NFT marketplace too. So you be sure to know, okay, this is authentic because it's mint by the company. Okay, you could go look on chain to see who's those minted from and how many is left and all that stuff. So the idea is still there, you know, the trademark of GameStop. I'm sure they still have the platform ready to be returned, and will allow people to play, to transact, you know, much like eBay of some sort. So again, that's the original plan for sure, but with this clarity of, you know, just Ripple alone, perhaps we could explore that, you know, platform, because again, this is much faster than Ethereum and cheaper than Ethereum too. Oh, okay. I really think I am going crazy right now. It's like I'm seeing double over here. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so it looks like, again, demand's getting higher. So it's just gonna slowly inch up, right? Before it goes to that, you know, super cycle over there. Okay, so we're expecting to have the rate cut sometime next year. I guess Jerome Powell already kind of hinted that we're just going to do 2 rate cuts this year, the rest of this year, which is September and December. So market's going to have to wait until then. You know, I guess by that time, you would see Bitcoin kind of creeped up. Also, GameStop will creep back up too. When is the next earning again? I think somebody was asking. I think sometime in September, you guys. Let me see. Yeah. September 3rd for now. It could be a little bit earlier or later. So yeah, September 3rd. Mark your calendar. You'll be Carlos, you could sell the shares if you're frustrated. It's okay. You'll be the one who buy it back when it runs for sure. But anyway, so just keep in mind, you know, anytime the price move, fundamentally nothing happened. Okay, you already know the fundamental, and that is, you know, companies continue to make money more profitable each year. Operationally, yes, operationally. You know, people keep saying that they're not making money operationally, but you know, look at this. Okay, look, they're making money. Okay, so that's 2 quarter. The reason why they post negative this time is because of a one-time thing over here, right there. So that's where the negative $10 million operationally come from. Okay, asset write down. Last time they have a little bit more asset from selling, I don't know, Italy or something like that. So this one is Canada, I think. And so just be prepared for France, right? We're about to sell Canadian and France. So yeah, US wise, we're profitable in the US. And that was also being reported by Ryan Cohen on the Bitcoin conference too. So we're just gonna focus on the US side of the business. And then meantime, we're just gonna continue to issue more convertible notes. What I'm hoping that Ryan Cohen would do is to create a preferred share as well. But preferred share, you would have to, you know, pay dividends. Oh, excuse me. All Anyway, you guys, I think I'm putting myself to sleep over here. Okay, let's doom scroll together here. People smoking. This would be perfect time when Ron Kitty comes back. Perfect time, right? Come on, just tweet something. Can you imagine if it's this weekend? That'd be awesome. Oh yeah, so of course there's GNS here announced the Bitcoin and all that stuff, right? Of course their share price goes higher. This is a CEO I can get behind. 5,000 per share dividend. 5,000. Okay. No guarantee how. Okay. I guess again, their share price is gonna go higher than GameStop for sure. With just that announcement alone. Alright guys, I will let you guys go. I feel like it's been 2 hours already, so I think that's my maximum limit of just continuously talking. Pretty exhausting sometimes, you know, to be able to come up with stuff to say. Okay, well, short interest higher. Just a recap here. XRP lawsuits done. Bitcoin is above 100,000 again. And I think altcoin season is just got kicked in for now. So there you go. I think this is the time that it will break out. Hopefully. So it needs to break out. From here. Amazing, right? That's weekly. Let's do daily. So yeah, it needs to break out here and then boom. So 2 more weeks. 2 more weeks. All right. I'll let you guys go. Thank you so much for joining and chiming in, everybody. Appreciate you. All right, guys.